After a year's delay, in July 2021, the Tokyo Summer Olympics appears all set to proceed. Over 2 weeks, the world's best athletes from 200 nations will once again compete on the track, in the pool, around the velodrome, but not on the cricket field, mind you. On this episode of Surface Scratchers, Ronnie and I take a plunge into what is the world's greatest sporting event. It's all about the Olympics on this one, so stay tuned. Hello, hello. My name is Savant.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Surface Scratchers. My name is Ronnie, and today we are talking about the Olympics, the 2020 Olympics that is happening in the year 2021.
Is it still going to be called like Tokyo 2020?
I think they printed a lot of banners and all of that, so changing the zero to the one is going to be a problem.
Yeah, same thing happened with the Euros also. It's still called Euros
Ah,
2020, even though it's in 2021.
right.
This will pakka be a quiz question 1 century
Yeah, yeah,
later,
yeah.
right?
What event led to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics happening in 2021?
2021.
So let's get
Cool.
started, man.
So, how do we want to do this? What I will do is I'll start with basically what the Olympic Games are and what they entail. Okay, and Ron, then maybe you could give the cool story of how it was back in ancient Greece and how that evolved into what is the biggest sports competition in the world.
Right. Oh, so start us off, bro.
Cool. So the Olympics Games are obviously considered the world's foremost, most competitive competition. And like I said, 200 nations participate in it. They held once every 4 years. The fun thing is they alternate between the summer and winter Olympics every 2 years in the 4 year period, which is strange
Mm-hmm.
because, like, I don't know, maybe we belong to a tropical country and we have no interest in winter games, but I have never watched the Winter Olympics. Have you?
I don't think, no, I don't think I
I
have.
don't think they even broadcast it in India on Doordarshan or something.
You're
Although,
right.
if
You're
I'm not wrong, there were a couple of entries from Indian contingents in the Winter Olympics at Sochi. I think
oh,
luging or one of the sports. I may be wrong.
hey, luging is, I think, a very easy sport because
Then Pakka.
I practice that 8 hours a day by lying down in bed.
Yeah. So anyway, so Winter Olympics happen every 2 years. So this year's event is happening in Tokyo. 2 years hence, there will be a Winter Olympics in Beijing, if I'm not wrong. Uh, this whole evolution of this Olympic movement during the 20th and 21st century in Iran has resulted in a lot of changes in the Olympic Games. So it's evolved a lot. Today we have the Summer Olympics, the Winter Olympics. We also have a very nice Paralympic Games for athletes. A fun
Oh,
story of
nice.
how it was actually started post World War for veterans who were injured in the war. That's the origin story of it. Then there are the Youth Olympics Games for athletes aged between 14 to 18.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we would have heard of the Continental Games. So there's an Asian Games for us. There are
Mm-hmm.
Pacific Games, Pan American Games, so on and so forth. There's also a special Deaf Olympics, which is only for deaf athletes. So the IOC is doing its bit, the International Olympic Committee, in trying to make sports as inclusive as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So right now the game is, I mean, it's a massive extravaganza, right? Not just
Right.
for the world but for the city that's organizing it. So if you remember when Delhi hosted the Commonwealth Games, over 4 5 years the city just underwent a complete transformation.
Correct.
So
Correct.
right now Olympics Games has reached that it's not just a sporting thing, it's a sport, or it's a competition where governments are super invested in it. So Ron, it's quite cool actually. So who makes these Olympics game possible? Okay, there is one IOC, or the International Olympic Committee. That's the overarching
Body.
body that governs this competition. Then every country has an Olympic committee. India would have one, China would have one, so on and so forth. These guys are the ones who prepare the contingents, the teams, the athletes, train them, invest money, speak to the governments, etc., and invest money in ensuring that these guys are up to speed.
These are the NOCs, National Olympic
National
Committees.
Olympic Committees. Then there are the respective sports federations who decide the rules. They will also appoint the referees, for example. So there's FIFA for football, there's FIBA for basketball. So anyway, it takes these three bodies to come together and organize in association with the host nation that does most of the money investing.
Mm-hmm.
So Tokyo in this case would be investing, and it takes a lot of planning. Just imagine, Ron, like if Tokyo is organizing the Olympics, and there are somewhat there'll be 20, 10,000, 15,000 athletes. Who will arrange for their stay? Where will they
Hmm.
eat? What will they eat? The equestrian sports, for example, who will get the horses from the respective countries? So Tokyo has to do all that planning. So it's an insane amount of money and planning that goes into planning what is. It's very simple for us to sit back, put our legs on the table, and watch the Olympic sports. Now, coming to the next part of who actually competes in these sports,
Hmm.
and I'm sure you'll touch on the origin, but Pierre de Coubertin, who is the father of the modern Olympics, he started the Olympics only for amateurs. Okay,
Oh.
so back in the day, the public schools prescribed to this belief that sports should be like an important part of education for all-round development. So there's this Latin saying, "Mens sana in corpore sano," which means the sound mind and a sound body. So a gentleman is a gentleman only if he's an all-rounder. So there was this prevailing concept of fairness in which practicing or training was considered like cheating. So if you're not doing sports as an all-round development and only as a specialized skill, then you
Mm-hmm.
have an unfair advantage over those who practiced it like a hobby. So that's
Right.
why Olympics historically has always been for amateurs. Okay.
Right. So if there
Then
were podcast Olympics, we do pretty well because we don't do too much practice before our episodes.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, the advent of how this all changed is because of the advent of state sponsored, quote unquote, full time amateur athlete that the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc countries did. So what they did was they entered teams of athletes who were actually students and soldiers, or plumbers and so on and so forth, but all of whom were actually paid by the state to train on a full time basis. And that's why between the decades
Oh.
of 1960s to 1918s, the Soviets kept on winning medals. So as a
Mm-hmm.
result, the Olympics finally shifted away from amateurism, as envisioned by this Coubertin, to allowing people and professional athletes to participate. But that was only in 1990s after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So
Okay.
that's 200 countries in 35 sports, in possibly 400 events of all now professional athletes. That's the Olympics, Ronnie.
Let's move on to how these Olympic Games came about. So, as you would probably everyone knows, the Olympics is a Greek sporting event. And the mountain where the Greek pantheon, the Zeus and his gang of gods, the Greek gods live, is this mountain called Mount Olympus.
Hmm.
Near where is where the first Olympic Games happened. So in 776 BCE is when the first Olympic Games happened.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many founding myths to this as to how and why this happened. One of the most popular ones is Hercules, who was one of the sons of Zeus, completed a series of 12 tasks called the Labors of Hercules. And when he successfully completed this, in honor of his father Zeus, he had the first Olympic
And
Games.
then he went on to create one of the biggest cycle companies in India.
Yes. Right. So the first Olympic Games happened near Mount Olympus, like I said, in 776 BCE. And the participants at this time were people from the city states of Greece. So Greece back then was not a country.
Mm-hmm.
Athens was like a city state. There was a city state like Sparta, and people from Turkey, I think around the Mediterranean and other
Mm-hmm.
city states of Greece used to come to Olympia, to Mount Olympus to participate in the games.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, if there were any wars and all happening at that time, people who were traveling to participate in the games would allowed to, pass through these wars unobstructed. Very interesting fact that I learned while doing the research for this is that the Olympic Games were not the only games in ancient Greece that happened
Mm-hmm.
for athletes and all of these. So there were other games like the Pythian Games in honor of Apollo, the Nemean Games in honor of Zeus and Hercules, and the Isthmian Games in honor of Poseidon that used to happen. And
Ooh.
all of these used to happen in such a fashion that every year there were one set of games or the other.
Now, how come these didn't become that popular?
Wait, these didn't become popular because I guess the Olympic was the biggest game even back then.
And it was the
And
OG, the first one.
right. Perhaps the first one, I guess. I don't know exactly when the other one started. So there were no financial or material awards that were given to any of these victors. Uh, some games had some olive oil etc being given to the winners, but in the Olympic games it is only a bunch of leaves that people would wear around their head and run around.
The laurels, right?
The laurels, yeah. And and very interestingly, even back then the games that were really popular were the traditional athletic games that we see even today: the races, long jump, javelin throw, boxing, wrestling, etc. So that was the ancient Olympics. It went on for quite a while, 776 BCE to 395 CE, when I think the
Wow.
Romans took over Greece, and with the fall of the Roman Empire, which I think happened around this time as well. I think there weren't enough funds or interest to do these Olympics. After that, in the 1600s, 1700s, etc., in different countries in Europe,
Hmm.
there would be some sort of a local Olympic games that were happening. So there was a French Olympic games that used to happen in the 1790s. In the 1600s, there was a Cotswolds Olympic games that happened in England. Sweden had something in the 1800s. And I think this is just them using the branding for some local school annual day sporting event or something of that sort. But after Greece became independent from the Ottoman Empire in 1821, there was a rise of Greek nationalism, self,
Hmm.
this one, and whatever. And this rich guy called Evangelos Zappas wrote to
Okay.
the Greek prime minister to say that, okay, we have this thing which we've not really tapped into for a very, very long time. And he revived the Olympics as we know it today. So in 1859, 70, 75, 88, there were Olympic Games that happened in Greece. And this ancient stadium, where I think this first ancient Olympics used to happen,
Hmm.
was unearthed, archaeologically, unearthed and reconstructed. The stadium's called the Panathinaik Stadium,
Oh
somewhere
yeah,
near.
I've been there in Athens. It's beautiful.
It's made of marble entirely. Is
Yeah,
that
it's
true?
gorgeous. It's glistening marble.
Wonderful. So this happened in Greece, and then, like you mentioned, in 1890, Pierre de Coubertin came along, and the first Olympic Games under the aegis of the IOC happened in 1896. 14 nations participated in the 1896 IOC Olympics, which is considered the first modern Olympics by the world.
That brings us to the next segment of, now that these games are so big, okay, and what sports actually, what do the Olympics actually comprise in terms of big sports, and therefore what are the big things to look out for in Tokyo 2020? So Tokyo 2020 is going to be a super interesting competition. That's because of a number of these most of these Olympic sports, Ron. If you've noticed, a lot of them are short duration, high intensity, fun to watch with really close outcomes.
Right.
So the biggest of them all is track and field, where there'll be 48 golds up for grabs.
Hmm.
Usain Bolt may have retired, but apparently there is this really upcoming star called Shelly Ann Fraser Price of Jamaica, who's supposed to be
Hmm.
good, and Armand Duplantis of Sweden in the pole vault also is supposed to be great. One interesting thing in this year's Olympics in track and field, Ronnie, is that marathons and race walking. You know what race walking is?
Yes.
It's this people who walk like it looks as if they want to go take a dump in the loo post that or something like that. You know, but the marathons and race walking will be moved to Sapporo and not in
Oh,
Tokyo
nice.
because apparently it's slightly
Cooler
cooler
there,
there.
yeah.
Then the other big sports, of course, is swimming. Phelps
Hmm.
won't be there, and 37 goals are up for in swimming. quite insane,
Wow.
right? Between men's, women's, different strokes, relays,
100, 200.
100, yeah, yeah. So there's no Michael Phelps, who is possibly the greatest Olympian in not just modern history, in history, but Ryan Lochte, his successor, hopefully,
Hmm.
will be a part of it. Gymnastics has 14 goals, and after
Okay.
Phelps and Usain Bolt, Simone Biles, or Biles, I don't know how you pronounce her name.
But she's American, so probably Biles only.
Biles. Yeah, let's call her Biles. Yeah, so she is the one to watch. Tennis has 5 goals. Will be fun. Naomi Osaka Roni is representing Japan and not the United States,
Nice.
which is
Good on.
quite cool. She recently, obviously, famously pulled out of the French Open for mental health reasons, which was great, as in a good symbol to, not great for her, but a good symbol to the sporting world of how it's okay to take a break. Basketball has 4 goals. It's usually the US winning it. Boxing has 13 goals. Of course, India would be participating in that, but usually it's dominated by Russia and the former Soviet countries. Like Uzbekistan, apparently is very good. Fencing has 12 golds, man. Can you imagine?
Fencing, there are, I think, four different types of fencing itself that are there.
Is it?
Depending on the sword that you're using, how flexible, bendy, pointy, sharp it.
It's almost like the Olympics is designed for India not to win with all these sports.
That should be the reason. When somebody now asks why India doesn't do well in the Olympics, this should be the reason. The
Ah,
games are not
there you
designed
go.
for
Correct.
Indians to win.
Cool, Ron. Moving on to you and your segment on what are the new sports to expect in this year's Tokyo Olympics.
Right. So this year, I think there are a bunch of very nice sports. What we played in college when there weren't enough people to play a full game of basketball,
Three
three
on
v
three.
three 3v3 basketball. Freestyle BMX is something that I'm looking forward to. Karate, surfing, skateboarding, and two games which I don't really know what they are. Sport climbing, which I think is finding your way through a bunch of boulders that are strewn on the ground and getting to the end at the quickest possible. And a sport called Madison cycling. I should know what Madison cycling is, but I don't.
You, of all people, should know.
So we'll move on to a few symbols that are very, very closely associated with the Olympics. When you think of the Olympics, the first thing that comes to your mind is the Olympic flag. Thing. The flag was introduced in the 1920 Summer Olympics in Belgium, and everyone knows it's got 5 interlocked rings:
Hmm.
blue, yellow, black, green, and red. And the 5 rings signify the 5 inhabited continents of the world.
Okay. But there are 7.
So the Americas count as one continent,
Okay.
and Antarctica is inhabited
Uninhabited.
largely by scientists and penguins.
Justice for penguins,
Penguins,
bros.
yes. And very interestingly, and I don't know the statistics and the numbers on this. So the flag colors, Savan,
Huh?
blue, yellow, black, green, and red, were chosen because at that time, at least, every nation would have had maybe at least one color
Hey, man, there's
on
no
on their flag.
saffron.
You mix red and yellow, you probably get saffron. So that's the flag. The Olympics has a motto, which is Citius Altius Fortius, which uh, which I knew because of Harsha Bogle's.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
What was it called again?
I think ESPN school quiz, sports quiz.
Citius Altius Fortius is the motto. It's Latin for faster, higher, stronger. This is it was proposed by Kobaton before the first Olympics, but it has been official since 1924. There is also an Olympic oath, which is administered for the athletes, judges, coaches, and officials. And some person just comes and says, takes this oath. The oath goes, "We promise to take part in these Olympic Games, respecting and abiding by the rules and in the spirit of fair play. We all commit ourselves to sport without doping and cheating. We do this for the glory of the sport, for the honor of our teams, and in respect for the fundamental principles of Olympism." Lastly, and perhaps the one which I like the most, is the Olympic flame. So the Olympic flame is lit at the temple of Hera in Olympia near Mount Olympus. So in Greek mythology, there's this guy called Prometheus
Mm-hmm.
who stole fire from the gods and brought it down to earth for humans to use. So fire has a very important role in Greek mythology, etc. And this temple is where the Olympic flame is first lit by some women who play the role of some priests and priestesses who originally used to sit in these temples. So the flame is lit. The torch, I think, is taken around a parade in Greece. At this Panathinaik Stadium in Athens, it is handed over to the host nation.
Oh,
So the
lovely.
host nation takes it to their country and runs around with it and brings it to the opening day ceremony and lights the Olympic flame at their main stadium.
Brilliant. Lovely.
And it so happens that once in a while the flame goes off because apparently in the Rio Olympics and all there were some protesters who managed to put the flame off, etc. But there is a backup flame that is also lit from the original flame in Olympia to light this one in case it goes off.
This happened in my
Where,
school sports festival all the time. And these really unruly boys would always jeer whenever they were trying to land the Olympic torch. और वो जलता ही नहीं था. They would just-
I So one very funny story that I have to call out over here. In the 1976 Summer Olympic Games in Montreal,
Mhm.
the flame was extinguished because of some rainfall.
Okay.
One official noticed this apparently. He had a cigarette lighter in his pocket. He relit it using the cigarette lighter he had.
Did this really
Uh,
happen?
it really happened. Someone noticed it, put it off again, and got the backup flame, which was lit at the Temple of Hera in Olympia, and relit
Oh God.
relit it again. Right. So those are the Olympic symbols.
Symbols. moving
Yes.
moving on to the next segment of some cool facts around the Olympics. So one of my favorite facts, Ron, historically, the ancient Olympics, the athletes had to compete naked. Maybe very scandalous in today's time, but it was a
Hmm.
symbol of Greekness. Apparently, it proved fearlessness and courage and power, and also was a tribute to the gods. Also, very
Very
interesting
nice.
side note: the word gymnasium comes from the Greek word gymnos, which means naked.
Would have been a uh, little scary doing fencing.
That imagine. The second cool fact, Ronnie, is around the gold medal. Uh, Apparently, in ancient Olympics, there was only one medal. There wasn't any silver or bronze. But what I like about the gold medals today is that most of the gold medals, in fact, all gold medals since 1918 was it, are not even made of gold. They're actually silver with just a small plating of gold. So that's also another cool fact about the when Olympians after they win their respective sports they bite into it. You know how it started.
Uh-huh.
It this is an ancient tradition where merchants would check a coin to check if it's indeed a precious metal. They would bite into it to check for forgery. A lead coin
Right.
would have like teeth marks on it, and a gold coin would not.
Right. On the topic of medals, now,
Mm-hmm.
for the Tokyo Olympics, what the Japanese government is doing apparently is getting citizens and people to donate old electronic items that they have
Okay.
and using recycled metal from the electronic items to make the gold
Oh, isn't
medals.
that great? That's
Huh.
fantastic.
So bronze has 92 point something percent copper. So they're done with the bronze medals that they need.
Huh.
Silver and gold both have 92 something percent silver. So this one they're a little behind. So they haven't hit their targets for uh, electronic items to make silver and gold medals from.
Nice, nice, but brilliant concept. A couple of other cool facts is the first Olympic drug suspension did not occur until 1968 when this Swedish pentathlete called Hans Gunnar Lijenvall tested positive for alcohol. He
Ah,
apparently drank several beers before the pentathlon and was suspended from the competition. And doping since
okay.
has been such an integral part of sports, unfortunately, and
Hmm.
everything that's going wrong with sports. And final cool fact is the youngest Olympian in the modern era is this Greek gymnast called Dimitrios Laundras, who competed in the first Athens Olympics at the age of 10, dude.
Well and truly a Londa. So the Olympics start on the 23rd of July, which is this coming Friday. And Samant, any predictions on India's performance? Are we going to win any medals, any golds?
Ronnie and I wanted to do a segment on India at the Olympics. We genuinely didn't have anything to say. But
Except Norman
Norman
Pritchard.
Pritchard winning two medals both. So I think athletics, right? That was, and he was. I think
Yeah,
and
running or
Norman
something.
Pritchard, if I'm not wrong, also was the first Asian nation to win an Olympic medal. India.
Oh,
So, but yeah, let's give it a guess. Maybe let's keep it at three. One
three
silver and
total.
two bronze is what my guess is.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to guess more than five in total and at least one gold.
Oh wow! Which sport?
Shooting. Or one of the target sports. I'll spread my risk a little bit. Archery slash shooting.
Let's do one thing. Just to see if you're validating this with some information. Let's test it with a quick trivia. Recent history India at the Olympics. Okay. In 2000 Sydney Olympics, we won one bronze medal.
Karna Maleshwari.
Correct.
That's the only one I know. Don't ask me anymore. I don't know
You're on a
anymore.
good streak. Let's try this. No, at 2004 Athens Olympics, this one silver medal in men's double trap shooting went to
I have no idea. When did Bindra win?
Rajyavardhan Singh Rathod. Dude. I
Okay.
think he was then the head of the Indian Olympics Committee.
Okay.
Also.
Bindra won in 2008, I think, then.
Yes, that was my next question. 2008, we won the famous gold with Bindra. That same Olympics, we also won two bronze. Vijender Singh won and Sushil Kumar. 2012, I don't think we won anything great except Sushil Kumar again won some silver. But 2012 was the Summer Olympics where we had an 83 member Indian contingent,
Oh, wow.
setting a new best for the
This
country.
is only athletes, not including cooks and chefs and trainers and coaches.
Yeah. 2016, I don't remember actually. That's just Sakshi Malik became the first Indian women wrestler to win an Olympic
Right,
medal
right,
with a
right,
bronze
right,
medal.
right, right, right.
And PV Sindhu won a silver. Was also the youngest Indian Olympic. So I think we should give the Olympics a chance. They are fun sports. Some of them are super competitive, like track and field and swimming. The fact that they're in Japan means the timing should be manageable for us.
Mhm.
So, Ron, any idea on what channel it's going to be broadcasted? When do they start?
Sony Pictures Networks India. So I guess Sony 6.
Ayo and Sony Live, which is the worst sports streaming platform for any sports.
Anyway, that brings us to the end of this Olympic episode. Thank you everyone for listening. Hope you had fun. Take care.
Bye.